Today is Saturday, the 29th of November, and I came across a headline that I absolutely had to speak on because it just seems like an oxymoron, and that is the term whiteness pandemic. Apparently, the Minnesota University has come up with something called Whiteness Pandemic, and the University of Minnesota lab faces backlash over it. So it's an article that has run across several platforms: the Yahoo Independent Journal Review, the Washington Examiner, to name a few. The whiteness pandemic refers to the systemic issues related to white culture and its role in perpetuating racism, emphasizing the need for self reflection and education among white individuals. Now, I understand that. I understand what that means because white people do need to be re educated about things. A lot of them act and feel the way that they do based on lies. No matter how well off a black person is, they still feel like they're better than that person just because they're white. Who does that? But but people who grew up, lived under a system of white supremacy. You think a certain way about anybody else who's non-white. But you have lots of people who want to identify as white. And reading that headline about the whiteness pandemic that's, currently unfolding in the US, it brought to mind a documentary I saw some years ago, 10 years ago, called The Whiteness Project. And at the time, they were talking to Gen Xers, and they were talking about how they feel about whiteness and being white, and how they feel like it was in their best interest to identify as being white because that they were in a privileged class to be white, to be accepted as white, to identify as white, and so they did. The documentary is very interesting. There is even one lady in it who talks about she feels like being gay and being black is of the same construct. No, it's not. Stop perpetuating that lie. Being black and being gay is not the same thing. You can't hide being black, but you can hide being gay. Nobody don't look at you, and nobody looks at a black person and say, "Oh, he's gay." That's not what they're doing. All you have to be is black. So the lady who's talking about white, gay, and black being, it's like the same. It's not. I always rejected that. I don't care what you say. I don't care who you are. Being black is not the same as being gay. It's not the same kind of discrimination. It's not the same oppression. I don't know why people like to say that. There's one guy in the documentary, his name is Scott, and he talked about as a white person, he felt like he didn't benefit from being white. That's what he said. So whose fault is it if a white person doesn't benefit from a country that's built on white supremacy? You know, the rich white people don't care about you. They don't care about you just because you're white. So this whiteness pandemic is a serious thing, apparently, because it's being told over several news platforms, and everybody's talking about it, and people are, of course, in an uproar about it. But you can believe one thing: certainly I am not suffering from no whiteness pandemic.